Day to day. Violence against women takes place in many forms, including your physical, sexual, economic and psychological violence. But all of these represent a violation of human dignity and human rights and have long-lasting consequences both for women themselves and for their communities. Joining us in studio to talk more about the gender-based violence, we have Mpiwa MANGWIRO-TSANGA. She is the regional campaign and advocacy specialist at Sonke Gender Justice. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Afternoon, Palisa. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you, and happy Women's Day. Do we have a reason to celebrate it as South African women?
Thank you. Happy Women's Day to you too. But like you are asking, it's unfortunate that while we are supposed to be celebrating and commemorating the heroes who've gone before us and fought for fundamental rights for women, we don't seem to have much to celebrate. Because as we know today, a young lady, Kensani, is being buried. She has lost her life. Why? Because of the violence that we continue to face as women. So women's lives continue to be under threat. We continue to be shortchanged. Our ability to realize our full potential keeps being taken away by the extreme levels and forms of violence that we're subjected to. So certainly there isn't much to celebrate.
Yeah. And it looks like even one of the veteran women who led the march back in 1956 to the Union buildings, Mam Sophie de Bruyn, is also concerned with the scourge of violence against women in South Africa. She was speaking earlier in Paarl at the national celebrations where President Ramaphosa was saying that it looks like what they fought for is in vain.
Certainly, I would agree with her. It looks like because what they fought for was women's emancipation, women's ability to also enjoy equal freedoms. But we are not enjoying that today as women. We continue to be violated, our rights, our freedoms continue to be violated. You know, when you wake up every day as a woman, when you dress, you don't dress for yourself. You think about when I go out, what is society going to think? What is that man who looks at me dressed like this going to think? Even when you are, whether you are walking, whether you are driving, you are constantly looking behind you to see who's behind me. What is this person looking like? We have been made to be so self-conscious, and such violence, unfortunately, it's not just about the physical. It also affects us emotionally. It also affects our ability to also progress economically, because we face the violation even in economic spaces. You look at who are still at the bottom of the tier. It's women. Women are still the ones who are fighting for opportunities. So at the end of the day, it's really a struggle for many a South African woman to realize their dreams and their goals.
But what needs to happen? In 1956, all the women stood together and they fought the wrongs of the apartheid regime. Are we united as it is now as South African women to fight this scourge of violence against us?
I think as South African women, of course, one thing we need to recognize is that when we talk about women, we are not a homogeneous group. We are not just this one woman and one size fits all. So we are all subjected to different identities. But I think the one thing that sort of brings us together is the reality is the violence that we face knows no class, it knows no race. It affects all of us in our diversities. And much as we need to come together as women and continue to take a stand against the violence that we face, I think it's not going, for me, I'll continue to say that this is not a women's only problem. This is a societal problem. So yes, women in South Africa, we need to continue to fight. We need to continue to come together regardless of our different identities that we carry, for as long as you are a woman in South Africa.
And the truth of the matter is not all men are trash. You do have good men out there. How do we bring them into the discussion of, you know, protecting and loving women as they should be?
I think I'll start by saying that, yes, not all men are trash. But I think what we need to realize is when we say men are trash, we are not individualizing. So even those good men that are there out there should not be thinking that this is about an individual issue. This is about a collective. This is about a system that is patriarchy. And at the end of the day, women suffer this violence as a result of patriarchy. So yes, we do need men who are able to come and say and take a stand and say, we are not going to allow this to go on. We will go out there and conscientize other men, because it's easier for them to have a man-to-man talk. We'll conscientize other men to say, we cannot continue to treat women in this way. We need to respect women. We need to, these are the men who are also supposed to be taking a lead in addressing, because when you look at the violence that we're experiencing in South Africa, a lot of it is embedded in patriarchy. A lot of it is embedded in gender norms, societal norms. So we need men who will be able to then stand up and say, these norms are not, this is not the true reflection of what a man is. Even to the young men, they need to educate the young men from a tender age that you don't have to behave in a certain way for you to be a man. So we need to start transforming the way and the identity of what is a man, what is a woman, because often that then begins to play out. Even as these people grow older, that's when we begin to see some of this violence and friction that comes out.
All right, just a quick one on this in Mpiwa. We have a department dedicated to women and children in South Africa, and many people have their concerns about the department, that it's not doing enough and so on. What's your take? What role do you think government can play in terms of, you know, resolving this the scourge that we're facing as women?
I think one of the key things that government needs to play is resources, because much as we have a department that is supposed to be addressing these issues, if there are no adequate resources for that to happen. For instance, we've had the Domestic Violence Act for so long, which says that if a woman reports that, or if a woman opens a case, the police are supposed to take him to a place of safety and all that. But there is no who pays for that when a woman is taken from this place to the place of safety. The resources that are supposed to come with the policies are lacking. And I think it's about time the government realizes that the money has to be budgeted. Right now we are saying that we want a national strategic plan on gender-based violence, and that strategic plan needs to be costed so that it is very clear that this is where Treasury brings in the resources, because otherwise we are going to sit with beautiful policies. The government will keep saying we have laws, but those laws will not implement themselves.
I think that's the major concern. That's the major concern, that we have beautiful laws and policies, but the implementation thereof is a challenge. Thank you so much for coming through. Always good to have you on the show.
It's always a pleasure.
All right,
Thank
well,
you.
there you have it. That's Mpiwa Mangwiro-TSANGA. She's Regional Campaign and Advocacy Specialist at Sonke Gender Justice, talking to us about gender-based violence. All right, let's get you some more weather updates now.